check. Okay. So closing out. Gosh, I'll be vain just because I'm stressed and playing with my hair. A lot of women know this is that like hair is soothing historically for all groups of women. That's why so many women have a history of braiding in their culture. Literally every continent, obviously. Anyway, if you weren't prejudiced, you would know that. So I am finishing up my AA this semester, next semester, and I'm so excited because it's been such a dumpster fire at universities, and yeah, uh, oh my god, it was. So I was like inspired to go back to college to finish my chemistry degree and move on with the passion I knew I wanted to go into debt for, because I'm not here to waste people's time and money and defraud my own cause, really, which most of the people at University of Wisconsin Superior are are just go along with what they're told to do, and they don't actually say, this is what I see the vision is to fix this, or this is a solution. I go towards vision. They absolutely rely on someone to tell them where to go. Not my group of people. I'm an independent. I don't do cuckery for a living. So I'm really excited because I didn't know that I was in like all the drama and just trying to like survive and like being re-trafficked. And I mainly do academia, like I've said in my videos, just for enjoyment. And then I'll now that I'm like more aware of how things have been in certain points of academia now, rather than just enjoyment, I'm like, oh no. Like everything in history, most people will understand in America being inaccurate. That can't carry on. Mostly because I'll have no one to talk to, and that's going to be my selfish joke I have there. So, and it is like I do believe a real unfortunate reality that a lot of Americans, because and mainly the ones that came here after 1850. So most European immigrants who came because of starvation or that they were homeless in Europe, those, and then again, just under the thumb of the aristocracy still, they actually didn't have a concept of freedom, and they actually had never fought their own wars. So when we had these huge hordes of Irish and Italian and Norwegian immigrants come here after 1850, it was just to not starve to death. They didn't care about the concept of freedom. It wasn't a thing. That's why they were still in Europe 70 years later, after all the warriors came and fought for this land with the Indians, the natives, so, and the Mexican natives. So it's actually mainly the European immigrants, again, the Irish who came after 1850, Norwegians, the Finns, they're just catching up. So, and they're more skilled than the people starving to death because they actually are more used to starving to death, or not needing that sort of, their bodies are just more efficient, because Finnish people, I mean, let me show you where Finland is, viewers, because it blows my mind how north it is. So it's above Norway and Sweden even. So it's like, this is Finland. So these people, like, that's a survival group, and they're native to this area because they're isolated there until they were actually commissioned to come work by the Great Lakes, because they could handle the cold and the shipping and all of that. So it's actually the Finnish people that, and I don't know the split between the men and women, right? Because the women were doing the engineering and a lot of the science and math, and putting stuff together, and then the men were also doing that. But I don't know how that exchange worked, because I'm just realizing after I got paid to do my research project for surf that we never talk about the women And I don't mean Rosie the Riveter. I don't mean the propaganda. I mean like the actual women here in the Twin Ports who sacrifice the future safety of their children and grandchildren along with themselves in the moment to do this really gnarly work to build armory for both world wars. And so I wish other people would comment if you have stories, please. I'd love to. And I really do plan to. I'll go finish my bachelor's elsewhere, but I'll definitely buy property back here in my native homeland. And I would love to have just a women's club and where we shine a light on really all the women engineers of America. And like the military leaders. Like, I don't want to remember Harriet Tubman as freeing people to the North. I remember Harriet Tubman, like the one Drunk History episode that I was like, oh, this one's good. I like this one a lot, is her being a strategist in warfare and planning ambushes. And so similar to that, all the women, the Swedish and Mexican women who were sharpshooters in the Mexican Revolutionary War, and probably so many more in Texas I don't know about because I didn't know that. I just learned from Dan Crenshaw today that watching a hilarious video with him and Adam Carolla where Dan Crenshaw does like stand up with Adam Carolla, and it was so funny. I didn't know Texas had its own revolution, or maybe that is what, like, maybe Texas has a name for a war that the rest of the country has a different name for. It seems to also be the case. So, gosh, you can imagine just the kind of like fresh fish up in that cold north. Sorry, that sounds. I really need to be nourished by like some good food, and because I have to wait to be able to earn a livelihood because of the domestic terrorist attacks against myself these past 2 years at UWS, caused by their socialist propagandists at the university. Etc. I'm so used to be able to do that. It's such a part of my culture and my womanhood to be able to be like, I'm going to have this random variety of food and oh my God, fresh fish. Halibut. So anyway, it would be awesome to see that trade grow back in Duluth. Or the Twin Ports, we don't really have good fish here. That sucks. They do what they can at Wasabi, and I love them. And their fish is pretty good. But I've lived on the West Coast and have had like really fresh fish, and you just taste the difference, and then you miss that nourishment from like super fresh little fishies. How many more Finnish people would I have to commission for some fresh fish in the Twin Ports? So I'll probably rant more because I hate this right now. I hate it so much. But I'm also glad because I learned so much about what other people think and what they're actually like raised under. Like the tyranny of their parents and grandparents is what it is. Like, oh, your parents and your grandparents did not plan freedom for you. No, they were voting in the moment for fucking sure. And then never thinking of consequences or even giving a fuck to look at that sort of audit or of the, future freedoms and current freedoms. So I learned that a lot of people don't even know what freedom really feels like and how you're supposed to defend it for yourself and how you're entitled to it, what exactly you're entitled to as far as freedom goes. And I realized, that it's the most confusing thing. Like I've asked people, like, can't wait to be able to get braces again from this assault I had. But like I have the most trouble like reciprocating goodwill, because I don't trust it, and it's been the most I would say like golden dipped part of the chains I was put in. So like people feigning goodwill, like a nice fake of a Michelangelo, you could say. So when people with actual goodwill come to me, and I that's my worst thing to have to encounter. And so thinking of that and that estrangement that I have in my life right now, and I do believe it'll change as I get used to people who don't plan to keep me as their slave. So as I think of people who and that's something I want. I know I want it desperately, and I can admit that to myself, but nonetheless it's a threat. And then that same kind of estrangement when I ask people, like, how do you defend your entitlement? How do you defend your duties, your freedom? Or how do you act on your duties? How do you know your birthright? That was the phrasing I used. How do you know your birthright? And one girl did go into tears, and because she knew I wasn't getting at her, but like the rest of the group had thought that, because people just jump to assumptions on me all the time. And again, it's white girl with big boobs bad. So it's like that sort of propaganda, I guess, is the fucking hit of the hour. And so, but this one girl, because she was like, no, like trying to, but then she started to tear up, like it was estranged to her. And so I learned that from being here, and I'm glad, because these are people I love, and I care about them being free and having their birthright and knowing how to defend it. How do you just, like, as a part of your life, act on your duties? What do you do when you come across a tyrant in the police force, in your city council, in your school, in anything that has power over you? What are you supposed to do when you're like, oh shit, this is a tyrant trampling on my rights? And so that was kind of my biggest win from actually being on campus since May. Because I learned that was lacking. And then I got to learn to, like, that brute force. And this is more of an opinion, I guess, from a religious point of view. I'm not forgiving crimes against myself anymore. But that brute force of how much people don't have that here, like they're entitled to, and then feeling that, like, pain. Like I was emailing someone about some resolve I had, and yeah, like I really felt these people's pain, and I didn't give up on trying to find where the fuck it was coming from, and like the gravity it was at, like, and I got paid to do this research project on the culture of the people of Superior. And I don't like letting work go half finished, because I was a Waldorf graduate. It's and by that I mean, like, so it's an art school that comes from secular Christianity. It's not a good thing and it can be used very wrong. It can also be an awesome thing, but the saying is do and redo. So like if you had made a mistake at Waldorf, you would just, like, real quick, it was encouraged, like, oh, just redo it. No, just redo all of it. Just start over from the beginning and redo it. Don't make the same mistake. And so I'm really glad, because I don't like settling on things that I can't hold beyond a reasonable doubt. And so I don't like to assume things of others without fully understanding. And it kind of requires you to really feel that person's pain. And I'm glad that it forced me to get used to more good-willed people. That was good to do. And I found that like just do it via email, because I like people on the phone and like people in my face. Like I don't trust anyone right now. Of course not. None of the girls like me do, and we shouldn't, because that's what keeps us enslaved, is we trust our fucking groomers, and then we're like, what? I'm not. Oh, I can't go anywhere. Oh, I don't. My money isn't mine. My future. My future isn't mine. Oh, my vote. You wanted my vote. Okay, Auntie. Okay. Okay. And so talking to people who don't have that mindset, that has also been just a huge win for the semester, because I'm like, oh, okay. Because otherwise I just get like, oh, what kind of airplane do I need to invent for myself so I can be safe in the stratosphere away from these groomers and pedos? Like, that's where my mind goes. It's like, oh, I'll just invent something and go hide. Which is that's not what I want to do. I don't want to have to do that. And I guess that's part of that. My groomer's propaganda was just being like, no, you're alone. And nobody's coming to help you, because everybody is in agreement to this. And then the statistics do support that notion. So that also doesn't help. Okay, real quick with my video. So socialism always devolves into child exploitation. Always. And this is because as the value of products degrade, the value of the artist degrades. And then when you kill the soul of the artist, what happens is people will look for innocence, not necessarily in children, but that is a corner pocket many people go. And so, and then if the artist is in his corner pocket, barely able to wake up in the morning, they can't do anything to help the kids that end up being the cannon fodder in all socialist circles and societies. And that's just Socialism 101. I'm going to end my stream there. I might come do a history one if I feel inspired. The Reader, if they have a new one out, see what those guys are talking about, because they have been just on fire, like so good. Oh my gosh. Mr. Welty, Miss Lauren, just some nice pieces. And so I'm excited to see what their new content looks like. And I'm going to go on a walk. Thank you for watching.